Hey guys, welcome to Reporter Room. My name is Jessica Della Davies, and I'm an investigative journalist. And today we're going to be talking about the Kiely Rodni case and the Summer Wells case. And I'm so glad that you guys are with me. If you haven't already, please subscribe. If you subscribe, you can join the top chat, and your comment will appear right here on the screen. And you do need to be on a computer or laptop to access top chat, and you just need to be subscribed, and that's it. I'm so glad that you're here. I want to thank you guys for helping me reach 10,000 subscribers. You guys, we did it, and I'm so excited and looking forward to it. Hi, Kaz. So Kaz says, hello all. This was no accident. Or why was the seatbelt hanging out of the hatch door? It could only be if someone stretched it out, then got it stuck when closed. Could be. What do you guys think?
Yes, I was the last person to contact her.
Let's take a look.
And I was with her basically throughout the entire party. I saw her the second she got there, and from that moment on, we were pretty much seen together all around the party.
This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Today, we are going, this is super sketch. Entertainment and so those were our executive producers. A special thank you to our producers. And a shout out to our channel members. So if you haven't already, so everything I'm sharing with you in this video is my opinion, and opinions are not facts. So please don't send any negativity to anyone, anytime, anywhere. Just please do your own research and know that I am just sharing with you my opinion. And everything I'm sharing with you today is for educational and entertainment purposes only. So I'm so excited to have you guys all here. For those of you that are living in the Commonwealth or in the UK, I just want to express my sympathy for the loss of Queen Elizabeth II. And I know a lot of you are grieving that, and I'm very, very sorry for your loss. I truly am. And I feel that she was a credit to all leaders in the world. She remained politically neutral, which I think is for 70 years of reigning. I think that's absolutely amazing. And I think she's a credit to women. What a wonderful role model for those of us that grew up with her, and also for our daughters and granddaughters. It's just, amazing to have such a wonderful leader, and to have had the opportunity to have had her in our lives. For my life, it's been the whole life, and I'm sure for most of you also, nearly all, if not most of all of your life. So, hey, Rianne. So we're going to be talking about, I'm going to go through this a little bit at a time. And for those of you that saw my video that I did, I posted it just prior to the announcement of Queen Elizabeth. So I know a lot of people haven't had a chance to watch it, but what I kind of went over there is I feel like the reason that law enforcement, now they're saying they might be able to wrap up the case in as short as 2 weeks, but up to 2 months. I feel like the reason that they are the FBI is staying involved, and the reason that they have to wait for that toxicology report is that somebody is going to be held accountable for providing substances like alcohol to underage. And remember, Kiely was just a teenager. She was underage. She was graduating early. She was 16 years old. And, you know, whoever provided the alcohol, and I think it's really kind of sketch that Sami kept saying that she kept saying that they went to Kiely's car, right? They went back to Kiely's car to get the drinks. So she places the drinks with Kiely. And I think that is interesting that she does that. She also makes sure to say that they were sharing drinks. And this way, Kiely's providing her with things, not just the other way around. It also would account for any DNA that would be found on, like, maybe the can that's in the car, right? Because they were sharing their drinks. And I'm not saying that they weren't sharing drinks. I'm just saying that she pretty much provided herself a decent alibi with the whole thing, in my opinion. So, and we're going to talk about Summer Wells in just a moment. But let's watch this. I did prepare this with you, and I think it's related to Sami, and I'm going to share this with you also. And this is really interesting because law enforcement never withheld Gabby Petito's cause of death, right? So why are they withholding Kiely's? It's because they need the toxicology report. They need the results. And in a moment, I'm going to tie this all up in a bow for you. Exactly. So they can't do anything without that toxicology report. They need to know what was ingested. And I think there's a reason that, everybody was like, why did the law enforcement allow her to hold those teen meetups, without law enforcement present, without parents present? Well, I think it was twofold. On the one hand, we have the fact that, yes, they wanted to have the teenagers feel free to talk because they were, very anxious to find Kiely Rodni. She was missing at that point. But the other side of it is it didn't hurt for them to try to figure out who was providing substances. And, unfortunately for Sami, she admitted a lot of this in her All-American Dream Chaser interview that she did, where she, does say that, she was providing these. And remember, she was one of the organizers of the party. So I think that was one of the reasons that law enforcement did allow her to hold up those teen meetups. And who's to say that they didn't have, a way to listen in, or they didn't send in undercover officers posing as teens also, right? We just don't know. So let's continue on, because we have a lot to get through tonight. Hi, John Davis, True Crime. Nice to see you, John. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Anna D. In regards to Sami, so please stay with me. When pressed further on the time frame, a spokesperson for the Nevada Sheriff's Office said, quote, "The toxicology report, which has not come back yet, will be included with the entirety of what we release when the investigation is complete and the records are ready for release." So they don't need to determine what happened to Kiely to charge Sami. Although I do think it would be helpful for them to know whether or not there was water in Kiely's lungs. But it does matter, the toxicology report, in relation to Sami. Oh, yes, it does. And they added, quote, law enforcement added, "Death investigations have varying investigative time components depending on the circumstances surrounding the investigation. It is not uncommon for final coroner reports to take 2 to 3 months and be ready for public release." So let's talk about Sami, because her actions. Okay, so we know now, because they're saying wrapped up maybe in 2 weeks. We know now that they are waiting, that law enforcement is waiting for that toxicology report. So the big question, that I wanted to answer for you guys and for myself also as an investigative journalist, is I wanted to know why. Why was this so important? Because we didn't have to wait for this for Gabby Petito. And I think it does really go back to the substances. Somebody is going to be held accountable, whether it be in a criminal court. And it's really interesting because allegedly, and I don't know if this account on actually belonged to Sami or if it's just somebody pranking us, because we've had a few of those as well. But it does seem like people are, reacting to the fact that all of a sudden Sami got this criminal attorney. And, so my first thought was, okay, well, why? Why would she need a criminal lawyer? And I realized she has exposure. She has exposure on this case because she was one of the organizers of the party, because she has mentioned that there weren't just seniors there at the senior farewell party at Prosser Lake, right? There was also underage kids that hadn't graduated from high school too, right? So she admitted that. She admitted to being one of the organizers. And then she's admitted to different things that she, and I am watching my words here, of what she had with Kiely that night. And you compound that together with the fact that she got the, I don't even know if she really did say goodbye to Kiely at 12:15, like she said, because it's kind of weird that she says goodbye to Kiely and then Kylie's calling her at 12:36 asking her if she needs a ride home. To me, that says either Kiely was so intoxicated that she didn't know that Sami said goodbye, or maybe Sami just waved and Kiely just thought she was waving at her and didn't realize that she was saying goodbye, or maybe she never said goodbye and just left with somebody else, and Kiely wasted 21 minutes of her life looking for Sami, only to find out that Sami had left her and gone off with somebody else. And we still don't know who Sami left with and who drove her home. And then Sami kept telling us what a smart girl Kiely is. She's a smart girl. She probably spent the night in the campground. And I was like, I know Kiely liked to camp, but I, as a female who was once a 16-year-old, and you guys can answer this too if you have daughters, granddaughters, and guys too. Can you imagine a 16-year-old spending the night alone at a campground with a bunch of strangers there? Because remember, the party got really big around 10:30 p.m. So word had gotten out about the party. And the other thing is, Sami said there was all these pictures and videos. Well, where are they? Why haven't we seen them? Nobody has released any of this information to us. Nobody has come forward to say, hey, guess what? Great to see you, but you know what? I have pictures of the party and I have video of the party, and here's what we have. Nobody's snuck that out onto social media. Nobody's released it. So it just, and the fact that we're hearing that parents were telling their kids not to come forward and help. What kind of parent tells their kid not to come forward and help search for one of their missing classmates? It just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. So hear me out. Stay with me for a second. Are certainly interesting, right? First of all, by saying that she was sharing drinks with Kiely and Kiely was sharing drinks with her. This gives a reason for her DNA to be on Kylie's cup and for Kylie's DNA to be on her cup, right? So let's talk about the DNA. That was a pretty smart little thing I think she did. She gave a reason why her DNA would be on Kiely, because we all wondered, like, why is she talking about she was sharing drinks with me and I was sharing drinks with her? What was the purpose in that? Because it did seem very intentional. It did seem very purposeful. And in my opinion, and everything I'm just sharing with you is my opinion, is she wanted to be able to account for the DNA. She wanted to be able to account for her DNA being on, and we now know there was at least one can in this car. Now we're learning, unfortunately, that they didn't seal up the windows when they pulled the car out of the water, and that some of the stuff dumped onto the ocean floor, and that will cause a chain of custody issue potentially. And that's a whole another conversation that we will that I'm going to dig into with you guys either later today or tomorrow. But yeah, it really does make it kind of weird. And if you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. And if you want to join the top chat, you just need to be subscribed, and your comment will appear right here on the Top Chat, you do need to be on a computer or a laptop to access Top Chat. You can't do it from like your TV screen or your phone. You do need to be on a computer. So my Insane World of Beauty Tara says, I agree with you on the DNA, but I still think what I told you before in the community page. Thank you, Tara. And Rianne Evans says, that was bad, as half the things are now contaminated. Yeah, it was just a, disaster for them to, I don't understand how they pulled the car out of the water or didn't seal up the windows, and maybe they didn't know. But then you don't have divers go in and look, and maybe they did, and it was just really the water was turned up. But why not go back the next day and maybe the next day after that and just make sure you have everything? And then we're hearing from Check It TV that when I called to have law enforcement show up, nobody wanted to come and get it. Well, yeah, right. None of the police, they don't want to show up in front of a YouTuber and say, oh, yeah, I'm here to get the evidence we left behind. No, I mean, who wants to be the police officer for that assignment? So whoever did show up, I congratulate them, because they, it had to be like the walk of shame to walk over to get Kylie's laptop, right? We don't know what's on that laptop. It had to just be the walk of shame. And Rianne says, even I know that the car had to be secured and the windows were not sealed, right? And Tracy said, I'm on my phone too. You just have to hit live chat. Okay, thanks, Tracy, for that. I didn't know that, because when I was on my phone, I couldn't access it. But I didn't know about that. So you can access it from an iPhone. Six Cents Amelia says, broken chain of evidence gets evidence thrown out of court. Exactly. And My Insane World of Beauty Tara says, isn't Sammy's parents lawyers? I think one is a lawyer and the other one is a private investigator, but I don't know. Don't quote me, because I don't know for sure what her parents do. So I could be completely wrong on that. Joy, but notice she didn't get a civil lawyer, and people were like, oh, she's going to sue everybody. I don't think that's what it was about, because Sammy's been dragged since she made her appearance, because everybody felt like her affect was off, right? It wasn't just me. It wasn't just you. It was like there's like a whole YouTube community that feels like there's something not right. Like the look on her face it just didn't match, and her story just didn't add up. Who leaves their friend? And if you guys have been with me for a while, I gave Sammy the benefit of the doubt. I really did. But when I saw that she hired a criminal defense attorney, my first thought was, why? Not civil attorney, criminal defense attorney. And I realized after just doing some research and looking into it that if you are convicted of giving substances to a minor that leads to a death, you can serve up to 7 years. It's a felony. It's a very serious felony. You can serve up to 7 years in prison. And then I went back to look at the interviews that she had done to see, well, does she have exposure? What has she said? And in my opinion, yes, she does have exposure. And, the smartest thing to do at this point would be to hire a criminal defense attorney. And so anyway, let's continue on though together, shall we? It also gives her cover possibly for some other things that I'm going to talk about in a minute. Second of all, by Sammy saying she was going out to Kylie's car to charge her phone and get more drinks, she gives a reason to why her DNA would be in Kylie's car, and also tries to place the drinks with Kiely. And I thought that was really sly. Tell me what you guys think about that. I thought that was really sly. By saying that she had to go back to Kylie's car and she has two other friends, but never names who they are. We still to this day don't know if there really were two other friends, but she places the drinks in Kylie's car. Now we know there was one can found in Kylie's car, but Kiely was only 16. So she would not be able to supply herself with that stuff, right? And Sammy was 18. So who did supply this alcohol to minor kids? Somebody did. Somebody supplied it. But by going back there, she explains why she would have her DNA in Kylie's car. She explains why she would have her DNA on Kylie's drink cups and why Kylie's DNA would be on her drink cups. And remember, Sammy doesn't know what the police are going to find and what they're not going to find. She's just covering her bases, in my opinion. So let's continue on together. and let me know what you think, because I really do want to know what y'all think. Right? So I have 3 reasons why Sami needs a criminal attorney, and I am going to share those with you in just a moment. So please stay with me. If you haven't seen my video, number 2 clue we all missed, you will want to watch this next, because this is an important clue as to what really happened to Kiely Rodni. So let's get back to Sami. Selling alcohol to someone who is under the age of 21 or providing it to minors can be a misdemeanor. So this wouldn't result in criminal charges, right? Sami was the organizer of the party, so it can be said that she was providing them. And this is why Sami has repeatedly said they went back to Kiely's car for drinks. It's to take the heat off herself. However, the penalties can be significantly increased if this minor gets into a car accident after they're giving alcohol, or otherwise suffers great bodily injury as the result of the drinks. So Kiely was found in her. So this is why this toxicology report is major. So what sent Sami allegedly running to go get herself a criminal defense attorney? Was she asked a question that she felt uncomfortable with? Did her parents realize after they watched her interviews, oh my gosh, she's opened herself up to all kinds of legal jeopardy? We also have 2 grieving parents, Kiely's parents, who could go on to file a civil suit. So even if she, skated on somehow on the more serious charges, which I think will come or could come, she may, then be facing a civil suit. We see this with Gabby Petito's parents. They are suing the Moab. I always say it wrong. Moab, not Mohab. Moab police officers, for the traffic stop. They didn't handle the traffic stop well. They blamed Gabby, and the 911 caller who called clearly was saying that it was Brian who was hitting Gabby, not the other way around, and they got it mixed up, and they just let them go on their way. Now, I don't know if that will lead to anything, but in America, you can file a lawsuit if you believe you've been criminally wrong. And you can also file a lawsuit on a civil basis. But Sami didn't allegedly get a civil lawyer, not that we know of, not that we've heard of. She went and got herself a criminal lawyer. And I think that has meaning. What do you guys think? Anna D says, I wonder if alcohol, etc., was found in the CRV. We know 1 can was. We've seen the 1 can. Sixth Sense Amelia says a criminal defense lawyer, ergo a criminal defense. Right, exactly. Hi, Fine Summer's Truth. Holy's 0815 says was for sure a truly, yeah, exactly. It was. All right, so let's continue on together. Vehicle in the very back, the cargo bay, upside down in 10 to 14 feet of water, and we don't know how she ended up there. But the most okay, so let's talk about the cargo bay and that belt, right? We see something hanging out of the back of that cargo bay. We see something hanging out the back, and it sure looks like a seat belt. And we've all seen the pictures of the seat. The back seat, it's the headrest come up on that vehicle, and there is room for her to fit through. Kiely only weighed 115 pounds. She was 5'7", 115 pounds. So she could have gotten through. But in my opinion, I don't see how she would float through. So either 1, she was placed in the back of the cargo bay, or number 2, as the vehicle went under the water, the engine went down first. The back came up. She was also on an incline, and the window was busted out on the driver's door, and water would have been rushing in. So did she push her way back to where she thought she could get out? Is this why the back window was down? Or was she trying to get out the very back? I mean, how did she end up all the way in the back? Because if the back window was halfway down, could she have, fit through there? Could she have let the car fill up and gotten out this side? Did she just panic, or did someone place her in the back? So now we have tow truck driver guy, also called road assistance guy. Um, and his name happens to be Nick, and he says that he saw Kiely and a guy he describes as being under 6'3". And I thought, well, that's really a weird way to describe somebody, but it's because he's 6'3". So he was a little shorter than him. He described somebody wearing a SF baseball cap, hair hanging out, thin, with a white, sound like a white bro shirt, and then he thought it was Kiely. So who did he see out at out near the Lake Boca Reservoir? And now he's like narrowing the time frame in. And for those of you that are asking, yes, law enforcement, he went to them first. Allegedly and reportedly, he went to law enforcement first with this information. And so they have the dispatch. They have he has like a dash cam. They have the dash cam footage, and they have the dispatch notice. So, I didn't give him too much credibility initially. I wasn't really sure, because he approached Adventures with Purpose at the Best Buy, and I wasn't sure what to make of that. But it does seem like, the fact that he went to law enforcement first, and that they do have the dispatch and the dash cam footage, we should have some answers on that. Who did he see? Is he mixing up? Because, witness identification is not reliable. People think it's really reliable. It's not as reliable as we would all think. But, clearly he believes he saw Kiely, and they would know what the vehicle is, right? Roadside assistance would know the vehicle, because the first thing they want to do is they ask who you are, what's your membership number, right? And then when you get there, a lot of times they'll ask to see your ID. Not always, but a lot of times. So, let's continue on together, though. So, because I do have a theory about the Lake Boca. In my opinion, that's maybe where they were going. I don't know what the whole neutral thing is, and the seatbelt buckling and unbuckling, that was just weird. And I thought maybe they're trying to distract from who they have in the back. Maybe for some reason the car wouldn't start. He said it was because the car is in neutral, but it's been proven that you can start that car in neutral. So tell me, please, what you guys think about that. If you think that's like raises red flags with him, road service assistance guy, or if you think that that was the reason that they gave, that they called out. So let's continue on together, though, because we have a lot to get into. Serious charges regarding providing substances are related to providing other things other than alcohol to a minor. In fact, providing these types of things to a minor can result in a prison sentence of up to 7 years or more, and this may be in addition to other charges, such as contributing to the delinquency of a minor. So we have other charges that can be piled on top of the criminal charge. There's lots of other charges also, contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I mean, she's gone. She was fatally injured. So someone is going to pay the price for supplying her with whatever she ingested. And this is why law enforcement is waiting for that toxicology report. They can't move forward they can't declare a cause of death without the toxicology report. They can't say, well, she, had a car accident. She drove into the water. She was intoxicated. They can't say anything of what happened. They can't say, she passed away before she went in the water. Again, nothing can be said without the toxicology report. They really need to have that. And I think that's why, Sami was really trying. So why do I think that they might have been out at Boca Reservoir that morning? I don't know, except maybe something did go wrong with Kiely. Maybe something did happen. And maybe somebody had her in the back, and that's why the movement seemed strange to road assistance guy, right? So the movements would have seemed strange. I don't know what's going on. One moves this way, the other one moves this way. They're asking weird questions. Show me how to buckle and unbuckle my seatbelt. Was that to get his fingerprints inside? What do you guys think? Was she in the back the whole time? And was their plan to take her to the Boca Reservoir? Or did they just want a sighting of her that morning to buy themselves more time? That would be the other thing, is to have her sighted that morning. And remember the response that we got from, Sami. She like didn't believe they had found Kiely. When did Kiely end up in Lake Prosser? Was it later that day? Was this supposed to be an alibi to prove that she did run away to Reno or wherever they were going to try to, claim, or that she went and she slept in the campground and then something happened? But it definitely seems like something went on. And does this sighting have anything to do with the fact that there is now allegedly a criminal lawyer being, hired by Sami? Does the fact that this guy has come forward, and now that we know there's dash cam footage and we know that there's a dispatch call that was made, so law enforcement most likely know who called, right? But again, they can't move forward on anything. They can't move forward on anything until they have the toxicology report. And is this why the FBI has stayed involved? Initially, it was because, it's a national park. And I thought, that makes sense. But there's something else going on, in my opinion. All right, let's continue on together, shall we? And if you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do. And give this video a thumbs up and help me with the YouTube algorithm. Okay, so here are the 3 things that law enforcement can prove in regard to Sami. 1, Sami organized the party. She said so herself. A party that provided substances, including alcohol, to at least one underage teenager, and that was Kiely Rodni. And so that in and of itself gives her exposure, right? She organized the party. She admitted that she organized the party, right? She admitted it. We know from her interview that it wasn't just seniors invited to the senior farewell party, right? There were kids from the lower grades that were invited to come and say goodbye to the seniors. So she's got exposure, in my opinion. She's got exposure. Kaz Shaw says not odors of, you're talking about decomp, Kaz. Yeah. Tellen Parama says dash cam footage is cause to arrest. 6 Cents Amelia says can search the license plate and get the VIN number. Exactly, you're right. Carrie Voice says, does anyone know where I can get a copy of the spreadsheet timeline that most of the YouTubes are reading off of? I do, Carrie. Sleuthy Goosey has it posted on Twitter. And you know what? If I will post it up on my community page too for you guys, and credit Sleuthy Goosey. But she's the one that put the timeline together. Or maybe it's a he. I don't know if Sleuthy Goosey is a male or a female, but that's who put the timeline together that a lot of YouTubers are using. I know there's been a lot of talk about the sheriff and the sheriff's son or daughter possibly being involved. I don't know anything about that. I have not been able to independently confirm anything like that. So I don't want to speculate on that. But I do think it's really wild that, they pulled the car out. They didn't seal up the windows. So they know stuff may have fallen out of the car, but they didn't go back with divers to look for a few days. That, I don't understand what the thinking was on that. I don't understand how they missed the vehicle. At first I was like, well, the water's really silty and it's 14 feet down. But then in listening more to the interviews that are being done by Adventures with Purpose, part of the vehicle was only 10 feet. Okay, well, we have swimming pools that are, community pools that are 8 feet, 10 feet deep, right? 12 feet. So we're not talking about that much depth where you would even need to be a scuba diver. You could almost snorkel to part of where that car was. I just don't understand how they didn't find it. I just don't get it. So let's continue on together, shall we? And probably more. And this is probably why law enforcement was happy for Sami to have the teen meetups. 2. Law enforcement can prove, according to Sami's own statements, that she knew it wasn't okay for her to ride in the car with Kiely because she knew Kiely wasn't sober. So she knew that Kiely shouldn't be driving, but she didn't take any action. So let's talk about that. Sami, by her own admission, says Kiely called her at 12:36 a.m. and she says that Kiely sounded like she was still at the party. If you believe that, I don't know if I believe that or not anymore. She says that Kiely was too intoxicated to drive her home. So she knew Kiely was too intoxicated to drive Sami home. And Sami was one of the organizers of the party, not just Kiely's, supposed friend. And I think, they were probably new friends, right? Not best friends, but new friends. But not as close of friends as what Sami wanted you guys to think that she was and wanted me to think too. But she, I think they were, new friends. So she organized the party. Kiely has too much to drink and Sami doesn't want to ride with her, but she doesn't take anything as a party organizer, as the older friend, the of age friend, the 18-year-old friend. She doesn't take any steps to stop Kiely from getting behind the wheel herself. Instead, she tells us in the All-American Dream Chaser interview what a smart girl Kiely is, and that Kiely would probably just sleep at the campground. Isn't that convenient? Isn't that convenient? Because I don't think intelligence has anything to do with being impaired. Being impaired means your judgment is impaired. And we're talking about a 16-year-old girl who is impaired and whose judgment was impaired, and an 18-year-old who I also think maybe her judgment was impaired also because she didn't make the best choices. But, she sure did cover her own tushy, her own backside in her interviews, right? So very interesting. But let's continue on together, shall we? 3. Law enforcement can prove that the last phone call made by Kiely was to Sami, and that Sami knew Kiely was still at the party and intoxicated. In my opinion, Sami got a lawyer, if this part is true, because she would have major exposure regarding organizing the party, providing substances to minors, one that led to a minor being fatally injured. And remember, Kiely was only 16 years old when she was attending this party. And Sami has admitted to providing things for Kiely, right? So, okay, so what do you guys think about that? She's, she admitted to providing things for Kiely. She admitted she knew Kiely was too intoxicated, right? She was covering herself on some things, right? DNA, why her, she and Kiely putting the drinks with Kiely. We're going back to Kiely's car for drinks. It was all on Kiely. But, she also messed up because she told us she was the organizer of the party. And, that probably would have come out either way. I'm sure that's why the police were happy for her to have these teen meetups, right? These teen to teen meetups with no law enforcement. Parents, drive away as far as you can. Go run away, drive away. Because it would be in their best interest to find out, what they could learn. So yeah, they were happy to. Law enforcement doesn't have to tell us the truth. Lying to an FBI agent is a crime, but lying to a regular police officer is not a crime. And for police officers to lie to us is definitely not a crime. So, to me, they just kept giving her the rope. You want to have the teen to teen meetup? Yes. You want to be a leader? Yes. And they just kept handed her the rope. And anyway, what do you guys think? Kaz says she is in big trouble, and so is Jagger. I don't know if Jagger is in trouble. He seems to be pretty adamant that he's, 4 hours away. So, and law enforcement did confirm that. I guess what we don't know is who did road assistance guy see. We don't know who road assistance side guys said. So, Kaz, you could be right and I could totally be wrong. Six Cents a Million says creme brulee shots. Mace Windu says, whoa. Law enforcement started with daily reports, now silent. Did they find what they're looking for? Oh, that's such a great point, Mace. Wow. I agree. Law enforcement started um, with all of these, daily press briefings, these daily updates. And once Kiely was found, that was it. They announced it and then they locked it down and they went radio silent so that we wouldn't know what was happening. But something triggered somebody to go get herself a criminal defense lawyer, allegedly, in my opinion. What was that? Did they ask her something? Did her parents look at her interviews and be like, oh my God? Or did her parents, once they found, maybe they thought Kiely would never be found and she would be able to say, yeah, Kiely slept at the campground. And remember, all of us were kind of thinking that maybe she was abducted because the police had searched Lake Prosser, right? We were told they searched Lake Prosser. So if Adventures with Purpose wouldn't have come in, would we have found Kiely, or would she still be sitting at the bottom of Lake Prosser? I don't know. All I know is that hearing how frustrated law enforcement gets with YouTubers, I don't care. My feeling, and as a journalist, I've always known that law enforcement is not always the happiest with us because we call them to account. And who wanted to be the guy to go out and realize that Adventures with Purpose found her in 34 minutes? And they would have found her sooner, except law enforcement told them that they had cleared that lake already, or they would have probably found her on day one, because she was right where her phone last pinged, 55 feet offshore, not miles, feet. And she was in 10 feet to 14 feet of water. She was right there. Or was she? That's the question. And that's why we need the toxicology report. All right, so let's continue on, shall we? So law enforcement is waiting for toxicology now because they know that this is all they need to charge Sami Smith. In my opinion, this is why the FBI is staying on this case. They understand that someone provided Kiely with whatever she ingested that night. They need the toxicology to prove what she ingested that night. And she and Sami, according to what Sami has said, kept going back to Kiely's car to get drinks. And I believe that Sami said this to take the heat off of herself and place the blame squarely onto Kiely. And I feel like that's one of the things that just bugs me the most about this. And if you see some of my earlier live streams or my earlier videos, I really felt bad for Sami. I really felt like, this shouldn't define her life. And I really felt sorry for her. And, but the more that I've gone through the interviews and then just seeing that she needed to hire a criminal attorney and then doing some research on what her exposure might be and what her whole, could she go down and what could she be facing? What would cause her to hire a criminal attorney? And, my feeling about this is that, yeah, she definitely opened herself up to all of this. And for her to be saying they went back to Kiely, I'm not saying there wasn't anything at Kiely's car, but how did it get there? Because Kiely was 16. Who provided that? Who was organizing the party? Who was took the last phone call from Kiely? Who took the last phone call from Kiely, but didn't turn around in her car to go back to get her? Or, where did Sami's phone ping? What do you guys think? I'm dying to know what you guys think about this. So let's finish this one up and then we're going to dig into some more stuff. And we are going to talk a little bit about Summer Wells also. If you haven't subscribed to Reporter Room, please do like, share, leave me a comment. I really, if you want to join the top chat and have your comment appear right up here on the screen, you just need to subscribe to Reporter Room and I think it's 1 minute and you can join the top chat. Sammy also says that other friends went too, but she has not named them. Yeah, so these two other friends, right? They go there. She says that two other friends went with her back to Kylie's car. Who? Who were these two other friends? Who are these two other friends? Who are they? Were one of these the friends that supplied Kiely with substances and alcohol? Who were the two other friends? I know the echo went because I didn't shut my mic off for a second. Sorry. I need to shut this off to play that. But who were the two other friends? We still don't know. We don't know who the friends are because Sammy hasn't told us. Sammy went quiet too, right? Once Kiely was found, we stopped hearing from Sammy. All the interviews shut down. All the talking shut down. Everything shut down. Everything shut down once Kiely was found. Did she expect her to be found, or did they feel like, oh, we'll put her there because that's been cleared already by law enforcement? And maybe they didn't think Adventures with Purpose would go back and go through it, another time. Or was she not there when law enforcement went? Why was that back cargo belt hanging out the back of that car? Had Kiely been driving around like that for a week or two? Or a day or two? Or did that happen on August the 6th? What do you guys think? Plain Potato says she thought Mags went back to Kylie's car. I don't know. Mags said she left the party after just a few minutes. So, I haven't heard anybody contradict her. I don't think she was there. Perry says if Sammy is telling the truth, 12:25, she hugs Kiely goodbye at the campsite. 12:33, Kylie's phone pings next to the water. 12:36, Kiely calls Sammy, offering her a lift. And Sammy said she could hear the party and the people. That's right. You're right, Perry. If she's telling the truth. Itzy said, why did Jagger lawyer up? I haven't heard that Jagger has lawyered up. I haven't heard anything about that. So, I haven't heard that. I can't independently verify that. Rianne Evans says maybe Kiely slept in the car. It could be. It could be she went back to her car and slept. But, if you're at a party with a bunch of strange people, and remember, it's between 100 and 300 people at this party, and she said the party got really big. Would you feel comfortable as a female alone going back to sleep alone in your car with like a bunch of strangers around you? Because I don't think most people would. No, I am not saying Jagger lawyered up. I have never heard that. Somebody else posted that in the chat. I am not saying that. Just want to make clear. All right, so let's continue on together, shall we? Let me turn my mic off this time. Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot wait to see what your comments are going to be in the comment section below. Do you think that there was foul play involved? Okay, so let's take a little poll, because when I did a poll on my community page, 78% of you did think there was foul play, and that was about a week ago. Give me a 1 if you think it's foul play in the chat, and put up a 2 if you think that it was just an accident. And I'm just curious what you guys think. Do you think it was foul play? Do you think it was just innocent? Do you think that, Sammy does have, we have a 2, a 1, a 1. Perry says, Adventures, whoa, okay, that went fast. Oh, wow, I'm getting a lot of mostly 1s and a couple of 2s. And I'm getting 1 and a 2 from Six Sense Amelia. Tellin says number 2. Marilyn Manetta says, I think Sammy has something to do with this. I just know how kids are. Oh, yeah, and let's talk about the Vibes has a question mark. So you're putting a 1 up if you think there's some kind of foul play involved, and you're putting a 2 up if you think it was just an accident gone horribly wrong. So, yeah, I think it's really, really crazy. Do you think that something nefarious happened? Or do you think this was just an accident? Please subscribe. So I'm mostly getting ones with a few twos, and that's kind of the same poll result that I got when I put it up on the community page too. I had 78% say yes, and the other 12% say no. So that's kind of similar to what I'm seeing here. Um, so, and what do you guys think about law enforcement's role? Because, man, leaving the laptop behind, and it just makes me, it would be helpful to have Kylie's phone, but they honestly, they don't have to have Kylie's phone, right? They don't have to have Kylie's phone. They could make do with Sammy's phone, right? And maybe that's what prompted her to get a lawyer. Maybe they got a search warrant for her phone. They could make do with also, getting other principals' phones too. Rianne says it was botched by the feds. The feds weren't responsible for pulling her out of the water. And then I don't know who was responsible to go in with the divers. Like, who was supposed to follow up with that? And maybe because it did switch from being the Prosser County Sheriff's Department who was looking for her over to the Nevada Sheriff's Department, that's the ball got dropped at that point. I'm just really not sure. I'm not sure what to think. Here, before we talk about, I'm not sure what I think about that. I just really do think that it's very, very strange that nobody went out diving to look for any items that might have fallen out of the car when they knew they pulled the car out of the water with the windows, one window smashed and the other one open, half open. And that's as far as the CRV, the back windows only go down to that level of what we saw. That's as much as it will open. So who opened the back window? Was it Kiely trying to get out? Was it somebody else? We just don't know. But please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and help me out with the YouTube algorithm. So let's look at some of your stuff. Perry says law enforcement have been appalling, to be honest. Mace Window says Jagger still loves Kiely. He knew she was going to a party and drink with hundreds of single guys. Maybe he... Oh, so you think that, it's some kind of a love triangle situation with Jagger. That's interesting. Jagger has said some things that were kind of odd, right? On social media. He and Sammy both wanted the tips filtered through them, right? That's the one thing that those two have in common. They both wanted tips filtered through them. They wanted to control the tips. And Jagger posted on social media saying that the sheriff's office wanted him. And then somebody approached the Placer County Sheriff's Office and they were like, no, we do not want tips filtered through Jagger. And, at the time I thought, he's young, I don't know, maybe he's just trying to get involved in whatever way he knows how, but it is kind of a red flag. And I think we should put a pin in that and just, make a note of that was kind of weird that both of them wanted the tips to be filtered through them. And then Sammy with her teen to teen meetup group where she's having things come through her, right? She wants the tips filtered through her. And to me, I just feel like law enforcement gave her the rope. You want to have the teen meetups? First of all, they had to find Kiely, right? But second of all, they knew she was one of the organizers at the party. By her own admission, she was the last person that spoke to Kiely on the phone. She says she was the last person to have seen Kiely, but we've now had another witness come forward named Elsa, who says that she did see Kiely at the party after Sammy talked to her on the phone. So is she, reliable? I don't know because I haven't had a chance to see her. But I do think that they are waiting on this toxicology report. I think they have good reason to want to wait on the toxicology report. I think they cannot make an arrest without the toxicology report. I hope that they release to us. I would like to see the dash cam footage from the tow truck road assistance guy. I'll just use all the terms that we've used to describe him so as not to let's see. Mace Windows says Jagger says the AAA guy is lying. If the mail was somewhere else, why isn't Jagger demanding justice for Kiely? Yeah, that's a great question, Mace. I agree. Purple Moon, Summer. Oh, it went. Okay, I'm too slow. I can't read these. The comments are coming in faster than I can read them. Kim and Larry in Tennessee said, I'm stuck on the motive. I feel like Sami, Jagger, and Kate are culprits. Oh, wow. Kate, happened to be on camera, but I don't know, nobody is, I mean, Kate wasn't at the party, so I don't know what role she would have played. Maybe she just was helping Jagger, and Jagger said, maybe she ran off to Reno, and that is like another, like a little bit of a red flag, because Kiely was last seen at Prosser Lake. Her phone last pinged at Prosser Lake. So why are he and Kate going to Reno to look for Kiely there and inviting a news crew? Come on with me. I don't know, right? That's weird. And everything I'm sharing is just my opinion, and opinions are not facts. So please don't send any negativity to anyone, and do your own research and know that this is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Jared Delaney says they can get tox from the eyes or the spleen, but 2 weeks if you want it from the eyes. That's interesting. And Don Hagerman says, plus reflipping the car damaged the body more, should have been sealed and pulled out on the roof, according to the professionals. Right. You're right. Cheryl Poole says, I believe that Kiely may have oh, okay, I'm going to watch my words here, on something. They are attempting to cover it up. Yeah, that could have been why she was in the back. Itzy says, confused with Sami getting a lawyer. Well, Itzy, she has some exposure because she was one of the organizers of the party. And, she does have some exposure here because the party provided alcohol to a minor who didn't survive, who was found in Lake Prosser, a 16-year-old. So that's why she would need a lawyer, in my opinion. It gives her some exposure as one of the organizers of the party, as the one who was with Kiely, who said she and Kiely, they were together the whole night. Remember? We were together the whole night. We were seen together all over the party all night. So, yeah. And then she was the last person who talked to Kiely on the phone. And she didn't want to ride home with Kiely because she felt like Kiely was too intoxicated to drive her home. But as one of the organizers of the party and as somebody who was 18 years old, she also didn't do anything to keep Kiely from getting in the car either. Take her keys away, go back and get her. I mean, there's just so many different ways this could have played out, and it's just so heartbreaking. Itzy says, I absolutely agree to that. But at the same time, there's too much confusion about who was at Kiely's car with a tow truck driver. Yeah, that's a great question, Itzy. I agree. Marilyn Mineta says, as soon as they say no water in her lungs, and she was gone before hitting the water. Yeah, I think it's not going to be the end all to be all, whether or not she has water in her lungs. But boy, if she does not, if she doesn't have water in her lungs, oh man, this case just went down a whole nother rabbit hole. When you factor in road assistance guy, eyewitness statements, the fact that we have a belt hanging out of the back of the trunk, the fact that we have two people who are trying to filter comments through them, not the sheriff's office. It's already a deep rabbit hole, but it will only get worse if it comes back that she does not have water in her lungs. If she has water in her lungs and the toxicology reports come back clean, I would say that at that point, Sami will probably be out in the clear, because anything she would be facing at that point would be more minor stuff. And I don't know if law enforcement's going to want to, pursue that or not, because maybe they're going to feel like she's, been through enough. But if it comes back with the toxicology report the way a lot of us think it's going to, then Sami could be in some serious trouble, in my opinion. DC Primetime says tox is done in the lab with pulled samples, right, by the medical examiner who did the autopsy. I don't know if it's done in the same lab or if they send it out. I don't know how big their sheriff's office is, but we do know that the FBI is still involved in this case. And so, in my opinion, this is probably why, right? Who is providing this stuff to minors? Because somebody has to pay the price. Find Summer Truth says, is the medical examiner different than a coroner? Yes, it's a medical examiner is a doctor with surgery experience and also pathology experience. Jared Delaney says it's not just the water in the lungs. After 2 weeks in the water will enter. Oh, that's interesting, Jared. So maybe they do need more. The sheriff is the coroner there, right? But that's not the medical examiner, and that's not who's going to run the toxicology report. So I do think we will get a legitimate toxicology report. I don't want to say that law enforcement is doing this purposefully. I think they messed up, but they messed up with Gabby Petito. Well, they didn't mess up with Gabby Petito, but it was YouTubers that found Gabby Petito, right? They found her. Red, White, and Bethune saw her van on their dash cam video footage when they were editing another video and realized that they had something. And that's where Gabby was. She was just on the other side of the creek from that van. YouTubers have been a big part. Would Kiely have been found without Adventures with Purpose? I don't think so. And now we have, this Check It TV that found her laptop and other items too, a hairbrush and some other items. But really important is that laptop, because, maybe some of the messages or emails or information on the laptop will help lead investigators to what really happened. We just, we don't know. Cat Angel said, you guys have to remember too, Sami is a minor as well, and she is a kid. You have to be 21 in the state of California to drink. You're right, Cat Angel. She's not a minor. She's legally an adult because she is 18, but she is underage for drinking. So how would she have gotten those substances? Maybe she didn't provide them. But as one of the organizers of the party, she would certainly know how Kiely, she placed it in Kylie's car. So she would certainly be able to tell us how she got there, right? Hi, Donna Rush. Donna Rush gives a 1. Tellin Parama, I hope I'm saying your name right. If they were roaming free, they wouldn't want to risk them hurting themselves. They would arrest immediately. That's why I'm sticking with the red herring. Okay. And LA Lady says, I'm not, oh man. And the problem with this is when the comments go down, I can't get them. William Van Volkenberg says, Adventures with Purpose has said there's more footage and another video. Yeah, we've only seen a roadside assistance guy. We've only seen about 20% of their total footage just on that. And we know they have more, and we know that they're keeping things close to the vest because they don't want to compromise the case that law enforcement is working on. And I don't think that I know people have been frustrated. They want an update. They want law enforcement to come out. I think the one thing that law enforcement has done really well is they have locked everything down as far as information coming out about the investigation. Something allegedly set Sami off to go get a criminal defense attorney, if that is true. Something set her off. And so was it a question? Was it a phone dump? What was it? Jared Delaney says, after those items, law enforcement should have divers back in the water looking for their belongings. It's evidence if it's a crime. I agree. Mia Marie says we've got alcohol for teenagers. Right. And Brian MacArthur says, 1, was the key in the car ignition? 2, if the key wasn't on, would the airbags go off? I think the key was off. Wow. And DC Primetime says, did y'all see her Snapchat from 2 days ago? Yes, I did, DC Primetime. I watched that this afternoon. That was allegedly taken the day after Kiely disappeared, and she does not look upset at all. Now people, it could have just been one moment of happiness in a really sad day, right? We've all I mean, when I won't say who, I had somebody in my family that passed, and we had moments of laughter when we were remembering her. It wasn't all tears. So you can have moments of laughter. You're not going to be sad all the time, right? But it is wild. It is wild. Ms. Pinkmas says, I also think the van that Sammy was interviewing the 75 teens inside of, they outsmarted her. Steve said, I wonder if that van was audio. Oh, I think it was. I think it was. Turtle Power says, they could have sent her to Reno for an autopsy. I live nearby our town. We send them to Reno because the coroner is the sheriff. Well, we don't know who's doing the autopsy because remember, the FBI is still involved, right? They're still in this case. So we don't know. We'll find out when we get the toxicology report about that. Marissa Ross says Kylie had push on the ignition. Don't know if this is different than key operated. I don't know that either. If we have a mechanic in here, that would probably be a great question to answer for us. Purple Summer Moon Extract said, is there any news on Summer Wells? Yes. I don't have a lot of updates on Summer, but I do have some. Thanks for reminding me. I was like, just really been digging into this other case, but we Candus did pop up. We did see one video of Candus this week, and I think she we haven't. I hope she's been gone, and I really hope that she's gone to pull her life together. That she's gone somewhere, gotten herself a job, gone into rehab, taken her sobriety seriously and doing what she can to get her life back on track, because her life was way off the track, in my opinion. The saddest thing to me is if Dawn comes out of prison and those two just go back to being how they were before, because that's not right. So we haven't heard anything. We know that there was a grand jury. There's been a lot of stuff coming out about Jody Sue Brown and Andy Bernard, and the video that did appear of Candus this week, and this is probably the biggest update that I have with you guys on this case, is that she was now accusing Jody Sue Brown and Andy Bernard in the video. It's not, at least that's how it came across to me. I don't know. At this point, Candus has also accused Dawn, so I don't know at this point if she has any credibility at all to accuse anybody else. What do you guys think? To me, any credibility that she did have just seems like she threw it all away. She threw it all away when she didn't go on camera for almost 2 weeks when Summer went missing. And you contrast that with Kiely Rodni's mom, Lindsay Neiman, who was on camera begging for her daughter to be returned to her, begging for Kiely to come home with just the saddest look on her face. And then in contrast, we have Candus, who doesn't go on camera for almost 2 weeks to ask for the return of her daughter, who they were claiming at that point it had gone from she wandered away to she was abducted, right? They went to the abduction scenario. So that was kind of sketch in my opinion. And then when they went back out and Grandis accidentally blew up Dawn's carefully orchestrated timeline, Candus refused to go on camera at that point too. She wouldn't go on camera to advocate for her daughter. She just wrote this scribbly scratch little note, and I don't understand that. If my child was missing, I would be diving into Lake Prosser myself. I would be looking everywhere. But it does make you wonder when you see that, Kiely was in the lake, if it turns out she was in there the whole time, right? And law enforcement just missed it. It does make you wonder if law enforcement could have also missed Summer. If she could have been nearby, if she could have wandered away. And we learned from Jose Roman that Summer did wander away. She had been known to wander. So did she just wander off the hill? Was she missed? Did they just miss her in the search? Because law enforcement is not perfect. they do a great job. And I think Kylie's grandpa said it right when he said that, if you call 911, you want them to show up. And I agree with that. And I definitely support law enforcement 110%, but they're not perfect. And I think, expecting perfection isn't right either. We expect them to do the best that they can do in that situation. So to me, they were searching really rugged terrain in Tennessee where Summer disappeared. There was a lot of, leafy vegetation. Could she have been missed? And Brian Laundrie was right there too. And they went in there to that swamp area. Now he was, underwater, and apparently the water had dropped down, but they didn't find him either. Right? So was Summer, did she wander off? Was she right there? And, the searchers just missed her. Not because they weren't trying hard. Because if you look at the face of the lead investigator on the Summer Wells case, he looked stricken. In my opinion, on the interview that he gave, he just looked stricken, devastated that he had not been able to find Summer. And so anyway, those are my updates for today. I just want to thank you guys so much for joining me. I'm going to continue on with members in a few minutes. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, please do. Like, share, leave a comment, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.